As a law examiner and a lecturer, I guarantee you this is exactly the types of evaluative points I would want to see in a vicarious liability essay before I start giving you the higher grades. Number one, employers are in a better financial position. When you talk about this evaluative point, bring in the fact that most employers have something called work-related insurance, which means a claimant is more likely to pursue the case because they know they're more likely to get their compensation than what they would do with the employee. The flip side of it, though, is whenever the employers have to claim on that insurance, it means their premiums go up the next year, so you can talk about the unfairness behind this point. Second, it seems fair that the employer will only be liable if the employee does something during the course of their employment. Start bringing in some of the case law that you can see down here when you're talking about this evaluative point. But then the flip side of it, you can argue, isn't the employer's legal obligation to train and recruit responsibly? So what about when we're talking about, appraisals within this? When it comes to employers, if they think the employee is not doing something wrong, should they not be checking more often? Again, you can beat around this as much as you want to, but one of the things I would bring in as a really higher mark answer is when it comes to the working situations nowadays, it's a lot more harder for employers to control what their employee does just because of things like remote working and the fact that working sometimes can be 24/7. So can an employer truly control what their employee is doing at all times? Thirdly, let's criticise the closeness of connection test. Often when we're talking about this, the point that you could be making is, yes, it seems really unfair that why should the employer be liable for what the employee does when it's some sort of illegal or unlawful act? However, go back to the point that I made earlier, isn't it the employer's responsibility to make sure they're doing all the checks? For example, DBS checks. Shouldn't they be doing that to make sure they're not employing somebody who is going to be unreliable or potentially a danger to their workplace? Having said that, the flip side of it is, are DBS checks always effective? What if somebody clears in their DBS check the first time, but then does something wrong later on in the line? Again, talk about this as much as you can.